So today I'll talk about the outcome, reduce candidate application drop-off. So as the name suggests, it's quite self-explanatory, but there are a couple of nuances we need to take care of and consider when we say we want to talk about candidate application drop-off. The first and the obvious one is the candidates dropping off and letting you know when they do by withdrawing their application, typically during interview process or offer part. But the other major part that is generally not considered or is left out is the application stage. Many candidates might not even complete their application process. They start to apply and they drop it off. They don't complete it. So that is something also we can look into. If you have some systems like Oracle HCM, you should be able to track that application drop off as well. So one of the early signs that things are going wrong, and the sense check that you can do for that is just gauging that you're getting less candidates than expected around. So the reasons for getting less candidates could be multiple, but one of the major signs and the reasons could be candidates dropping off. And dropping off, as I said earlier, could be while the application process itself. The candidates start the application process, but they don't submit their application. So that drop off can also be an early sense check, early reason for getting less candidates. The other and the obvious reason is candidates dropping off intentionally and informing about that typically, and that will happen around interviews and job offers typically. So here are the few things that I suggest to make sure that you can improve your outcome, which is reducing the candidate application drop off. So to begin with, you can increase your frequency of communication with the candidate, which could be when they apply, which could be during their interview process or after the interview process, but keeping them engaged is going to be very critical. And then you can also try to personalize it as much as possible. That also keeps the candidates engaged, and it's a really good way to reduce the drop off. The other thing that I suggest is to optimize your application process, because typically candidates will start an application process, and if it's long enough, they might not even submit. So try to optimize it, get only the required information that you would need for you to interview them. And the other thing would be to optimize your selection process. Too many steps in the selection process will also increase your overall time to hire, and therefore candidates will also take more time. The metrics that I suggest to look into are overall candidate application drop off, and the other is a combination of application to interview ratio and average time for you to interview your candidates. So your overall candidate application drop off naturally will tell you about what percentage of or what rate of candidates are dropping off, and that will be an overall rate for an application process. The other bunch will tell you about what type of candidates, what quality of candidates you are getting in the application process, and your own speed as an organization for processing the candidate applications. So application to interview rate will tell you the quality of candidates, how many candidates out of the bunch that have applied are meeting the criteria, and then to whom you would want to interview. The other metric, average time to first interview, will tell you your efficiency, your speed of processing candidates. And this will be a very important metric as well to gauge, because many candidates drop off when they don't get to hear from the other side. Typically during the interview process, candidates are applying at multiple jobs. So the sooner you interview them, higher the chances of you first gauging how the good candidate is and then offering them, and also to move them forward in the application process. The other thing that I suggest is to optimize your selection process. So longer the selection process, more time you need to process candidates as well, and therefore increases the wait time for the candidates. So you need to optimize that to make sure that you review the candidates, gauge their fit for the job within that process, and also keep them wait time for the candidates as less as possible. Then if you're using Oracle HCM, specifically the recruitment system, then there are a lot of features that you can utilize to reduce your candidate application drop-off. So in context of increasing your communication, you can automate a lot of notifications so that the candidates are informed and therefore engaged as well. That could be just when they applied, after the application process, whenever they are moved from one stage to the other, with set of instructions they need to follow, with a bit of expected time as well, so that they know what to expect during the application process. The other thing that I suggest is enabling the feature called Career Coach. So that is basically an AI agent that talks to the candidates and explains them the role that are open within the organization and their profile fits with what job. So this will make sure that the candidates are engaged and they are applying to the right jobs. So that will reduces the chances of them dropping off. Then the other thing you can do is to enable the right candidate status on the career side. This again goes in line with the idea of communicating more. So on top of notifications, you can also enable such statuses on career side so that they know exactly where they stand in the application process. The other thing that you can do is to enable integrations with WhatsApp and have some SMS providers through which, along with your emails, you can also send communication and notifications through these platforms. And using WhatsApp is highly suggested, and the reason being, everybody across the globe these days is using WhatsApp, and WhatsApp has become a preferred communication manner. So along with your emails, you can enable WhatsApp integration so that the candidates get real-time notification and on their preferred medium, which generally would be WhatsApp. And in this context, let me tell you a bit more about how Orbrick can help. So we at Orbrick have certain products and services available which can help you improve your outcomes. So one of them is the purpose methodology. If you are yet to start your implementation, you can go with purpose methodology. This methodology is an evolved version of Oracle's methodology of implementing HCM. What we additionally do is to define a purpose for the whole project, which is your outcome, your metrics. So it is all driven by our value maximization program. And at the start of the project, we define what will be your outcomes that you want to improve, what are the metrics that you want to improve, and everything else follows around that. All your solutions, all your processes are redesigned, reimagined, and configured in the way the outcomes that you had chosen improves while implementing this process. Then the other thing that we have done is to introduce a phase of understudy. So the understudy phase takes the idea from the theaters. Like a lead in a theater in a play has an understudy who is a backup in a way for the lead actor. Here we understudy your HR team. So we'll talk to them, we'll interview them, we'll sit with them and understand their daily processes. How do they do certain things? How is the communication and everything that they do on daily basis. This will help us understand how the things actually flow at the ground level and what are their pain points. And if you have already implemented your system, we have other services to offer as well. One of them is Evolve, which is again an extension of value maximization program that we have. If your system is already live, you can evolve it as it is live. So just like your purpose methodology, this is also outcome driven and metric driven. So you choose the outcomes and metrics, and during the AMS, we improve it by redefining the processes or by reconfiguring the system. And the other variant of this service is called Assured. If you already have an AMS support team, we work with that AMS team and with you to do the same thing that I mentioned, define your outcomes and improve them along with your live system. To demonstrate and understand and monitor your outcome by yourself, we have the tool called Hindsight. So it is basically an early warning system that shows you if your metrics and outcomes are performing well or not. So it's a self-service system where you can track all your metrics and see their performance on real time. So it takes into consideration the interventions or changes that you have made to your process and help you gauge that. So in context of this outcome, which is reducing candidate application drop off, you enable those features, change your processes, enable notifications, basically have those interventions in the system, and hindsight will note it down and help you track the outcomes.